But maybe just have like a talking stick, like something,
Oh
like that
wow, that
simple.
is
Yeah, like I have to take it back. Like sometimes.
a talking stick. Wow, that's okay. Welcome to a Love Like That podcast, where we get real about love, growth, and building a marriage that thrives.
We're Jacquelyn and Brandon, a dynamic husband and wife duo whose love story began back when we were fresh teenagers. From our teen years to college and beyond, through all the breakups and makeups, and it was a lot, y'all, we always found our way back to each other.
Listen, when we got married in 2011, our first year was a real trial and error year. We were literally learning on the job, and at times, we had some real doubts about this thing called marriage.
But we humbled ourselves, and with learning to be vulnerable, selfless, and to replicate God's love towards each other, we were blessed to learn how to not just be married, but happily married.
As relationship coaches, authors, parents, and most importantly, teammates for life, we believe that stronger marriages create stronger families, and stronger families help create even better communities. Through honest conversation and some humor, we're here to help equip you with the tools you'll need to navigate marriage like pros and create the marriage that you deserve.
Because a thriving marriage isn't accidental, it's intentional.
Join us and let's grow together. What up, everyone? Welcome to a Love Like That podcast. I'm your host, Brandon.
I'm Jacquelyn.
And we are back once again. Hey, listen, so glad to be back.
Yes.
Welcome back, babe.
Welcome back.
It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a podcast to listen to.
Yes, love it. We'll bring it back.
Yeah, we had to bring it back. Had to bring it back. We're so excited to be back here. We are we've just been really, just really been focusing on each other and our business. Is obviously, as you guys know, that we are certified marriage coaches and relationship coaches as well. So we've just really been focused on the business of it and the work that entails. But we wanted to make sure that we got back to what I like to call the community service aspect of it, which is really just serving the community, serving the people. And that is really just putting out this content for you guys as far as the podcast. And because I feel it's a way for us to really just to give back, but to connect with people and really to help bless other people. And it's really, it helps us as well. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
so that's important. So good to be back on here.
Great.
Look, how's life been?
It's been life.
Life has been lifing though, but in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way. In a good way though, So between kids and business and everything else, it's been a lot. So this is our second take at this because as soon as we started, our daughter jumped down here and was like, she needs food.
Yeah,
so
she didn't like what I had already prepared for her. So gotta run it back. Picky kids.
Picky. Now our son, he was fine with what he had, but clearly our daughter said, I want what I want. So I guess that is where it is. But anywho, but yes, like I said, we just want to make sure to get a chance to get back on here. Talk about what's been going on and what we have been seeing out here in the world. So much has been happening. So many conversations. And it is just, for this, for this current state that we're in right now, for the world, relationships are still a big topic, a big issue, and for a lot of people, a big divider. Everybody seems to have a reason behind something, and a reason why they don't agree on something or why certain things can't work out certain ways. And I'm gonna go ahead and get into something that I saw.
Okay.
And so I'm going to play a clip for you guys, okay? And this is from, I can't remember the name of the podcast, though, but it was from Dr. Bryant. And so she was talking about certain trust in relationships. And I want you guys to check this out. And then I have my thoughts and you have your thoughts. I really want to get your feedback on this, babe, because it's interesting to see the responses that people have been giving us. So yeah, we're going to play real quick. Let's go ahead and go.
I am not going to be in a bed with a man who can access my body, that is priceless, and I can't access a $89.99 or a $499.99 Samsung or iPhone because you think that's a breach of your privacy. You keep your $500 phone over there, and I'll keep my priceless mind, body, and soul over here.
Hey, that's real. I mean, when she breaks it down like that.
And I never looked at it like that, though. I mean, I never looked at it like that. So I wanted to get your thoughts.
I mean,
because I see how social media is reacting to this, but I want to
yeah.
get your thoughts on this.
Well, me personally, especially in our relationship and in our marriage, and I'll say we believe in transparency. So, having access to your phone or you having access to my phone has really never been
A challenge.
and a challenge between us because
Right.
I mean it's nothing to hide. It's hey, you need it, whatever that is, take it. So I agree. I mean, when you think about you are literally when you're laying down with someone, that's your body. It's so many things that are just in play. And so yeah, if we haven't reached that level of trust and transparency where you're comfortable with me using your phone, then yeah, maybe it's time to bounce on out of that thing.
Yeah, and I think here's what I've been seeing in the comment sections. And some people are like, how do the two equate? How are they the same? Or we could have just started dating or whatever the case is. So how can that be? Whatever. I think what people are missing is that she's really speaking on something outside of just access to the phone. It's really talking about access to your physical, having access to someone else's body, how it can be so easily given up. And we don't consider that to be precious,
Right.
as opposed to you
How we
can't
guard our phones.
exactly, and the phones don't have access. They don't. They're not emotional. They're not. It's not intimate, really, when you think about it, though.
Yeah.
And really, what she's really getting at, and I understand it though, is that women need to be mindful about who they're giving access to their bodies, and vice versa for men. Who are you giving access to your bodies? Because you may want to know what's going on or whatever the case is, or you may feel like you're in a relationship where you should be comfortable enough. Because there are some women who are like, hey, you can't go through my phone. And just as there are men that are saying you can't go through my phone, so it's both sides of it.
Right.
But I just know that was mainly catered more so to women, but that could be spoken about for men as well. Just access, who we are giving access to. Let's be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And that goes into, whether or not you believe in, premarital, sex or not, or whatever the case is. That's not what we're here to discuss here. We're talking about, because listen, we understand it's the era that we're in, we know it happens. It's going to happen. And so you have to be mindful about who you're giving access to your body, because not everybody deserves that. And you have to really just be in a different mind frame to do that. Now, I'll say for us, yeah, I don't think that was really an issue for us. But when we were dating, though, I'm trying to remember when we were dating, was it an issue? Did we really try to go through each other's phones, really?
Yeah, don't think so.
I think we were slick, but I don't think we were like hiding.
Yeah. I don't really remember like a time when we to the point where I was really trying to learn your password to go through your phone.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, I mean, if I needed to use a phone, I had my own phone. I mean, now it's like So, all right, I'm putting her out here. Jackie, she loses her phone a lot. She misplaces her phone a lot, and so when that happens, it's, babe, can I use your phone? And it's like, okay, fine. So,
you need to call my phone
right.
from a phone.
Or she doesn't have her phone, so she needs to look up something. So, hey, you know what? Can I use your phone? I need to look something up. So I was like, you know what? Fine. Here it is. Here's the phone, whatever the case is. I think when we were dating, because we weren't living together, the chances of actually happening were very slim to
Right.
none.
That's what I was thinking about too. Just kind of
The
the
instances,
atmospheres where like you leave your phone, and we just didn't really have a lot of instances like that.
yeah,
Like we said, just
very
because we
small.
didn't, live together. So
Yeah, and so I know for other couples that probably are living together, couples that are dating that are living together, they might be a little bit different though. But that was just something that I just remember that being like a real issue with us. Well, not the fact that we were asking to go through each other's phones, but I think we're at the point now where it's like, listen, we've been at this thing for X amount of years. That I shouldn't have anything I need to have hidden,
right, yeah,
whatever the case is.
yeah.
So we just gotta be smart about that. But yeah, like I said, I just thought that
Mhm.
was a really interesting one there. So that was a little segment there. I just wanted to kind of just go through that to see, get your response on that. But now it is time for our next segment here, which
Yes.
is drum roll is that too. It is Jackie Says. So, we
Yes.
have with us relationship coach and extraordinaire, just because she's an extraordinaire, Jacquelyn here.
Yes. Don't forget the extraordinaire.
Yeah, all of that and then some. So, go ahead, take it away, babe.
All right. So, guys, brand new Jackie Says. And so this is just things that I've gathered along my journey, things that come to me and they sit with me. And so it is my duty to share them with you guys. So here goes. Here goes. So this week's Jackie Says is I get it now, right? I get it now. How many times this week? Just alone, we were just having a conversation this morning about I get it now. So I just think about like, hey, in just my own reflection as I'm kind of moving about, like, oh, I didn't necessarily understand it then, but I get it now. Why is it always, it has to kind of be after a long amount of time, or, if something traumatic happened, oh, I get it and I understand now. How many people are, you know, out of relationships that, they could have maybe turned the notch up in terms of doing the work, and now it's kind of like, oh, now I understand, the value of it. Like I get it now. Um, so my message is really the time is now. The time is now. Like, I think we have to look around at life, look around at the current state of just everything that's going on and understand that the time is now. The time is now to take action. We don't, just in the world and the climate of the world, we shouldn't have to go out in the world and fight for our place and then come home and do the same thing,
Mm, speak
fight,
on
fight,
that.
fight. So,
Your home should be your refuge.
yes, absolutely, your place of peace. So,
Yeah.
I mean, my message is the time is now. Like let's take true inventory of our relationships. Let's take true inventory of our feelings, our just vision, our just goals for our relationship. Like let's start with ourselves and look at us and say, hey, how can we progress, with before we get to the whole, oh, I get it now and it's after the fact and it may be too late, you know. How can we get it now? How can we get it before, you know, we have to have this long, lengthy lesson? So that's my message. Let's get busy. Let's get it now.
All right. Jackie Says, brought to you by nobody. No, that was great. That was good. I appreciate that, babe. That was awesome. Seriously, that was good. That was good. That was good. All right. Well, listen, that was Jackie Says. Let's go ahead now. We got to get it in. So we got to get it in now. Let's get in the plugs. The plugs, the
Hey, plug it,
plugs.
plug it, plug it.
We're going to plug. We're going to plug. We are going to plug. All right. So, shameless plugs because we got to do plugs because it's needed plugs.
Because it's great
Subscribe.
work.
Right, exactly. It's our work. So make sure that you guys subscribe to us on our YouTube page. what she said. Subscribe to our YouTube page, at a love like that underscore. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to our podcast as well. You can go on iTunes, YouTube Music. We're on iHeartRadio now, so we're on
Okay.
iHeartRadio,
Upgrade.
and yeah, man. So we're on there as well. So like I said, you can subscribe to us there, and just make sure to follow us online as well. Go follow us on all social media platforms at a love like that underscore. I think on Facebook it's a love like that LLC for that one. So it's it's where you can find us there. We have a lot of good things that we have coming up, and we have a really 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 big offer that we have come up here in the next few
Yes.
days. And so yeah, I want you guys to go check it out. So it's only for a limited time, that we're going to have that offer. But yeah, like I said, we're just really focused on really getting ourselves reintroduce our, kind of, I guess, reconnected with our social media people out there. Like I said, focus on the business, but now we want to make sure that we focus on the business and our social platforms,
Right.
because we want to make sure that we reach more people, because we really believe that God put us here together to
Yeah.
help couples redefine and to create the marriage that they want for themselves.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we feel like
Yes.
we want to be that vessel. We feel like God wants us to be that vessel to
Yes.
to do the work. To do the
Yes.
work, to help you guys do the work, and to
Yes.
help you spread the word about how to do the work as well. So
Yes.
all of that and then some. All right. So
Let's connect. That connection.
yeah,
Definitely having, like, even from our own personal experience, having strong couples who got in the boat with us, when we were in the beginning and having, like, trying to figure this thing out, like having
yeah.
those strong couples around us and having couples that poured into us
Shout out to the
was
Curtis
a
family.
major, 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 major blessing for our marriage. And so we want to connect with you guys. We want
Exactly.
to, you know, be that couple who's in your corner, who's cheering you on and, you know,
Mhm.
on your team. And so it's
Yeah.
it's really about connection.
And shout out to the people that were in the boat with us as well. So
Yes, yes,
shout out to the
yes,
Curtis family,
yes,
Mr. and
definitely.
Mrs. Curtis, and
Hmm.
who also shout out to Brian and Latisse. They at
Yes,
at the very beginning they were
yes,
there for us as well. So
yes,
um those were our marriage mentors. So I know you guys like,
yes,
who are they? But yeah, Brian and Latisse were our marriage mentors, and they really helped
yes. We
they helped us
appreciate it.
set the tone for what was going to be our marriage. So we appreciate them as well.
Yes, we do.
All right, and then last plug here. Make sure the Marriage Bubble. It's our book. Go buy it. Go check it out. If you haven't already bought
Yes,
a copy already, go buy a copy. And if you have a copy already, buy two more. But
yes.
no, but we
And give
really
it to
believe it.
someone who needs it.
Yeah, we really believe that that's a book that can really help people, especially couples who are just starting out, or even couples who are have been at it for a minute, but are still trying to really establish what they really want for their marriage and want to redirect it in the right way. So the marriage bubble is where you can go find some answers there. Okay, so make sure that you can order it on Amazon, and we have a couple
Yes,
other avenues that you can order on as well. All right,
right.
enough of the plugs. Okay, all right, got all the plugs out. Let's go ahead and move
Mhm.
on with the podcast here. All right, so this next segment here, also, I guess this is okay. This is part of a plug. Okay, sorry about that. I just thought about that. But if you guys are not part of our email list, please go on ahead and make sure that you guys are
Yes,
part of our email list. If you go to our Linktree uh, account, which is should be on all of our social media platforms, click on our Linktree, and you'll see how to be part of our email list, so you guys can be aware of certain things that we have coming up, and you'll get first dibs and access to know of certain things. So this next segment is part of that. If you're part of our email list,
yes,
of our special email list, because we have that and we have our special email list, you would know that since we were doing this podcast, we started doing we were going to have a Q&A session that we're going to have as part of the podcast. So whatever questions that you have, we will answer it here. Okay, you don't have to worry about booking a coaching session with us. You don't have to worry about being on the show. If you just want to whatever, you just have a question that you want to ask, you guys can ask it. So make
yes.
sure that you submit your questions to a love like that LLC at gmail.com. Again, that's a love like that LLC at gmail.com. That way you can submit your questions, and we will make sure to answer it here on the podcast. We won't say any names. We won't do anything like that, but just want you guys to be aware of that. So our first one is coming from a person who we will not name, but
Who shall remain
who shall
nameless?
remain nameless though. But I appreciate her for submitting her question, and so let's go ahead and get into it here. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Hey, Brandon and Jackie. First, let me say how much I love your podcast and how happy to know you're doing more episodes. As a young newlywed, I'm soaking up all the advice I can get about marriage. Your podcast was a lifeline for me. Thank you for all the wisdom and encouragement that you share on your show. My husband and I have been married for just over a year, and while we love each other deeply, we've hit a bit of a wall when it comes to disagreements. We're both very strong willed and honestly a little stubborn. It feels like every argument turns into a battle to prove who's right instead of working together to find a solution. That's half the battle, just knowing that. But it's just knowing that. Okay. I know we're both coming from a place of love and good intentions, but I'm worried that this dynamic will create resentment over time. I want to learn how to fight fair and communicate better so we can grow together rather than apart. So my question is, how can we handle disagreements in a healthy way, especially when both of us feel that we're always right? How do we shift from being opponents to being seeing eye to eye? Thank you so much for reading the email. Can't wait to hear your advice. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so do you want to take this?
Well, one part, I mean, that she kind of even said in the question, I think just being aware of just the whole being instead of being opponents, like being teammates.
Yeah,
So, I mean, one thing that I always kind of think of and, that was kind of told to me and it makes perfect sense is, we are attacking the problem, like not each other. So I think sometimes maybe just sitting back, like having, I know it sounds, maybe a little old school or a little, I don't know, childish if, I don't know.
she's
But,
childish.
but maybe just have like a talking stick, like something,
Oh
like
wow,
at
that
some
is
yeah, like I have to take it back. Like sometimes
a talking stick. Wow, that's okay.
if we can't really hear each other, if we're always arguing, like, listen, if I have the pen, I'm the only one who's talking because a lot of times we're listening to respond and we're not actually listening. I'm taking it in and I'm already getting my defense
Right.
out. So I've really tuned you out for the rest of what you're saying. I'm just going ahead and, coming up with what I'm gonna shoot back at you.
Yeah.
So if it really is a hey, or, like sometimes it's over talking, you can't even get your full thoughts out because of the reaction of the other person. So sometimes, honestly, hey, like this is how we're going to like we set up the conversation.
Yeah.
Like this is how it's gonna go. Like let's respect these boundaries. Like this is what we're doing. So sometimes it may just be to kind of go back to simpler
The
times
the
and
the talking stick, that is so
it works. It works.
so it made me think about, I forgot who it was, but somebody said get on your stomach and get on all fours or get on your stomach or whatever the case is, and you look at each other eye to eye. You and your spouse get on the floor and lay on your stomachs and look at each other eye to eye. And when they did it, and they actually showed themselves doing it, and everybody started laughing, the audience started laughing, and they were like, because it's hard for you to be mad at someone when they're on the floor on their stomach looking at you. You guys are grown people having a conversation. It's hard to be mad at someone, so it helps you to come from a place of love. I've never done that. We've never done that. I don't plan on doing that though. But that was actually pretty interesting though. Um, so I'll say this: you already have half the battle already because you understand. If I'm reading this correctly, let's see here. If I read that right, um, to prove who's right instead of working together to find a solution. You understanding that is half the battle because a lot of times people, when they get into disagreements, all they're going into the conversation for is to say, or is to come out victorious. It's not, hey, I want to find a solution. It's, I'm going to come out of this situation and you're going to find out that you're wrong and I'm right.
Right.
And that's what it is, instead of let's come together to find a common ground. So, do you remember? It was probably about 3 months ago. Kids were arguing in the and we were in the bed. We heard the kids arguing, and they're he's doing this, well she's doing that, or whatever the case is. And I think I had it. I was tired, or whatever the case is. I mean, I was tired, and what did I say? I said something. I was like, just get it over with. I was like, you know, hey, you guys, just stop it. This is what you guys, sit your butt down. Stop arguing. Like, sit down. Listen to each other. Stop trying to interrupt the person. Let them say what they have to say. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Just let them say it so they can get it out, so they can feel heard. And then after that, you allow the other person to go in there and say what they need to say so they can feel heard. Then after that, you guys find common ground on what needs to be done moving forward. But the thing is, though, is that the other person has to feel like they're being heard. As long as you do that, you're fine. And I think I said some other stuff, and you were like, "Dang, that was like a real deal solution to all arguments."
No.
But I'm missing some other stuff, though. But really, that's
Right,
what
you
it
went
is.
step by step. It was
Really,
just a
yeah.
whole, yeah.
I wish I would have had that on. I wish I would have recorded, because it was like perfect.
Right off the cuff.
Like, I mean, like 30 seconds. I mean, 30 seconds. I had that thing like in there. But that's really what it is. Okay, going understanding. Hey, listen, I'm coming into this conversation to understand why you feel this way.
Right.
Go into understanding that I want to know, why do you feel this way, and I want to go into this conversation with the notion that you're going to give me the chance to explain why I feel this way. And as we talk about why we feel this way, then we talk about the logic in moving forward of how to find a solution, or what the logic is that brought you to that point. And then we start going step by step by step. I will say this, though. I mean, you have to lead with love, and at the same time, though, obviously, I hope that your husband is able to lead with love as well, and not come from a place of, being defensive all the time. I think that was something that when we first got married, we were trying to figure that out a lot, and it was very easy to be defensive.
Yeah,
It's very easy, and you guys are at the beginning of it, so this is a great time to start going ahead and start getting the work done now.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can now, because there are couples who've been married 20 plus years who still don't understand this. But you having the mental fortitude to see what it is, what it really should be. It sounds like you guys are going to be just fine. It's just the growing pains, because we went through that. There were times I would say, we're trying to find common ground, and me, as I know I have an ego as a Leo. I have an ego, but I had to learn to let that ego die. And she's she's strong willed, and it's like, I'm talking about whatever. I'm like, okay, so I have to let her say what she needs to say, and if I come at it from a place of love, and she sees that, understands that, then hopefully she'll be able to respond to that accordingly. And as time went on, I think she was able to see certain things in a certain way. And so was I. I was able to understand why she feels certain ways about certain things. So we were able to actually rub off and work with each other.
Yeah.
I was able to anticipate certain things that may get to a certain point that may lead her to feeling a certain way, so I could learn how to avoid them. And then she was able to learn how to I guess what's the word, the phrase I'm looking for. You're able to be able to hear me out from my perspective as much as I was able to hear you out.
Right.
And at the same time, that was also mine as well, because sometimes I would just listen just to respond instead of just listening to actually understand.
Right.
So, the fixing is in the doing. The magic is in the doing. It doesn't get fixed automatically. You just have to actually do it. Do the work. Remove the ego. Come at it with love. And sometimes coming at it with love is not always easy, because it's much easier to sometimes go at it with anger, pettiness, and just going ahead, and you want to be like, you know what, your mama. And that's not what we're here to do. So I would say, yeah, understand what your goals are. Let the person know, I want to hear you. I want to make sure that you're heard. And that's really what it is. When people have arguments, it's because they don't feel the other person has heard them. And has not validated their feelings or their thoughts.
Right.
And that's really what it is. As long as you can do those two things, as long as I know that I've been heard, my feelings are valid, my thoughts are valid, then we can move forward with the decisions or
Right.
how to move forward. How can we find common ground? That's 90% of arguments are really about that. It's not even about what the solution is. It's really about just being heard. I mean,
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
I mean, no, it definitely is about being heard. Everyone wants to, get their feelings out. Everybody wants to be validated in their feelings. You can agree to disagree, but you want to make sure, hey, we understand what's going on in this situation. One quick thing I wanted to add to that is just a thing I've kind of told a few couples to do, some that, it's constantly, we can't just kind of get past that point of arguing where
Hmm.
someone is just immediately defensive or immediately triggered. I always say, like, write a letter. Like, write a letter. Like, change the way that you are communicating.
Jackie
And
loves the
so
letter, and it's true though. I think
yeah,
it's good.
because sometimes when, hey, like, if you're just super defensive the moment I open my mouth, you can't hear me. And so we can't even, until you're ready to let your guard down, we can't even get to that point where we're able to come and sit at the table. So, in that, sometimes like really reading it in print, like, there it's different when you're reading it,
Yeah,
There's nobody like
there's no
there's
one to
nobody there
interrupt
to
you.
argue with,
Yeah.
like there's nobody interrupting you. This is just my real raw feelings and emotions in print.
Hmm.
Hey, you know, and I mean, they call it a psychology sandwich, but
Oh yeah.
just you're gonna start with the good.
Compliment, critique.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of the good things. There's always a positive that you can find in your relationship. And so you start with that. Hey, I would like to find a solution. We've been in this place for a while and I really,
Mhm.
what is the outcome? What do you want? What is the positive, aspect of things? You put the hard part in the middle. There always, maybe a hard part in the conversation. So, hey, but, I feel ABC, whatever the
Mhm.
chunk, the meat of the problem or situation that you're in, you put that in the middle and then you round it back up with
Yeah.
you know more of the positive in terms of what you want, in terms of, hey, I love you and I want this to work. I understand that this is a rough patch that we're in and this is something that we can move through, but you wound it back up with that and all of the
Yeah.
good things that you do, love about your relationship. And so I've told a few couples to do that. And, a few of them actually followed, my
And you
directions.
know what?
And
I'll say this: the ones who have followed your directions have actually turned out to be pretty good, and the
yeah,
ones that have not,
right. Are
I'm
still
not going to
some
talk about
people
that. But
have supposed to been writing a letter for some years now, and we're still going
they're
through the
working on it.
same,
They're working on it.
same
They're
level.
working on it. They're
Right,
working on it.
exactly.
So
But everybody has to kind of do things
yeah,
in their own time and,
exactly.
when they feel comfortable. And so
Yeah, and that's
that's
true.
just a suggestion that, I've used before and I feel like it's worked for
I
some
dig. I
couples.
dig. I dig. And then also is going to it wanting to respond than to react.
Yeah.
All right, you want to go into respond the proper way, going in with love, and like I said, there's more to it. And your teammates go into it understanding that you guys are teammates and that you guys are not the enemy. The
Right.
salute, the problem, the situation is the enemy. You guys are the teammates trying to figure out that solution.
Right.
The
Exactly.
situation is the enemy, not your spouse. You go
Yes.
into that understanding that you'll be just fine. But
That's
anyway,
it.
I
That's the
really
major part.
it really is what it is. So, thank you for the question. That was awesome. I really like that was a really good question though. So, like I said, take those steps and like I said, you'll be able to move over with that just fine. So, yeah, that was really good one right there. All right, now going on to the next segment here as we get ready to close this thing out here. I wanted to make sure I give you guys a little bit of encouragement here, and actually, this kind of goes along with what we just talked about in the last segment here. So, This is my little moment. I don't have a segment name for it, but I'm going to come up with one eventually.
It's on the way.
Right, it's on the way. It's on the way. But listen, it's something I just want to share with the audience and with the listeners. You will be what you will yourself to be, and that's just not for only your marriage, but just in life. Whatever it is that you want to be, whatever it is that you want to be, you will yourself to be that. It takes dedication, it takes determination, it takes you really uh, having the structure, the organization, the discipline in order to execute whatever it is that you want to execute. There's a friend of mine, and check this out. He said he writes his will every day. And I was like, a will every day. And I was like, okay. But me, I'm always thinking one step ahead. I was like, oh, I get what you mean. So you guys might be thinking he's talking about like a will, like his last and final testimony, but no, it's what he writes out what he's going to will himself to do. I will execute this goal. I will reach out to this person. I will do these things. I will make sure to take time to love on my spouse. And that's what it is. So, um, you you will be whatever it is that you will to be. So I said I was going to start doing that too. I'm going to start writing out, what I'm going to will myself to do. And what you're going to start seeing and it's part of, writing division, like it says in the Bible in Habakkuk, write division, make it plain, put it on tablets. And when you write out what your goals and what your desires are, it's scientifically proven that you can actually achieve them at a higher percentage because you're writing it down. And because um, when you see it in front of you and you can actually read it out, you can speak it out, you can see, you can visualize it, you can actually create it. And so that's something that I always want to impose on people, not to impress people with, but to impress upon them.
Yeah.
Write the vision, put it in, will yourself to be what it is that you want. So, and then from a marital aspect though, it's really about being intentional. You will be what you will yourself to be. If you want to be a better husband, you actually have to will yourself to be a better husband. You want to be a better wife, you have to will yourself to be a better wife. All those different things. So it's really about being intentional. So take it to heart, and I want you guys to succeed. We love you guys. So thank you guys for allowing me to have that segment. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Again, babe, thank you so much for everything that you bring to the show, for the podcast. And thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure that you guys subscribe, follow us, all that in between. Anywho, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that we get this thing going right for you guys. Like I said, we're gonna have some more podcasts out here for you here in the next couple of weeks. But
Yes.
listen, I'm Brandon,
I'm Jacquelyn.
and this is a Love Like That podcast. Take care. Peace.
Peace.